On the 29th of May, 2009, the Metro Toronto Convention Centre is set to play host to W. We of the Young Communist League of Toronto urge all progressive youth and students to mobilize with the opponents of imperialist war, bigotry and chauvinism, and unite in condemnation of war criminal Bush's presence in Toronto. Our generation is right to condemn George W. Bush as a personification of U.S. imperialism. In 8 years as president, his administration committed some of the worst crimes since the Second World War. If you're a tireless advocate of international peace and solidarity, like British Member of Parliament George Galloway, who expressed friendship with the oppressed Palestinians, you are to be denied entry into Harper's Canada on national security grounds. But if you're a failed oil businessman, convicted drunk driver, and spectacularly privileged son of one of America's most vile plutocratic families with a penchant for illegal wars and bankrupting countries while serving as its president, then the gates are wide open. This man is no fool who fell from the sky to become president of the United States. He represents specific ultra-right social and class forces that also have their expressions in Canada. Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, was prosecuted in 1943 under the Trading with the Enemy Act for continuing to develop his friendly corporate relations with Hitler's Germany. Incredibly, this didn't stop him from getting elected to the Senate just 9 years later. Bush's father, while serving as a Texas Republican in the House of Representatives in the 1960s, was a notorious opponent of the civil rights movement of that decade. Brazenly stealing the 2000 presidential elections through outright fraud and a little help from Fox News, Bush is the figurehead of a big business agenda that has brought us murderous wars including Iraq and Afghanistan, Abu Ghraib and countless other prison torture scandals, the Guantanamo concentration camp with young Canadian Omar Khadr still incarcerated, and a fundamentalist religious crusade against science in schools and in foreign policy. Bush is also responsible for unprecedented domestic surveillance of U.S. citizens and a scandalous profiteering and racist response to Hurricane Katrina. Into the poisonous cauldron of unrestrained capitalism, the Bush administration threw policies that helped brew the current economic storm now blowing across Canada, causing close to 20% youth unemployment in Toronto. That he is no longer in office does not mean Bush deserves to be welcomed with any less militancy and unity. The YCL condemns the Harper Tories for welcoming Bush and notes that this gesture fits with their pro-corporate attacks on gender equality, Aboriginal peoples, students, workers, queer people, immigrants, people of color, and youth. It is our hope that when Bush comes to Toronto, he'll witness such scenes of outrage at his presence that he'll wish he stayed in Texas. And his shame will be a warning to any others that our outrage will never let war criminals rest. We demand that a legal precedent be set in the conviction of Mr. Bush for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Never again. The people will not tolerate imperialism any longer.